Formula One fans, Ferrari's secret technique has been revealed. With this technique, the new 2026 Ferrari steel cylinder head is born. It's not traditional casting, it's not machining from raw material with machine tools. It's something completely new. Ferrari uses revolutionary technology based on 3D printing. More precisely, it's a process obtained through deposition and fusion of metallic powder that's laid in layers on a platform that varies in height. The platform lowers, all vertical profiles are recreated, and in the end you get a manufactured component that until a decade ago was unthinkable. This technology allows creating thin walls impossible with other manufacturing techniques, optimizing material usage. Here's the secret. You get steel's advantages without weight-related defects because wall thickness is optimized. Ferrari works with Renishaw, the company assisting in manufacturing with metallic powder fusion, essentially 3D printing for high-performance metal components. Stay with me because what I'm about to tell you will change your understanding of Ferrari technology. There was a recent video of mine where I talked about the new steel alloy cylinder head used on Ferrari's 2026 Formula One power unit thermal units. Well, we explained the reasons for the advantage of having steel alloy instead of aluminum for the cylinder head. And we asked ourselves if the advantage of having a material more resistant to mechanical stresses, more resistant to high pressures, more resistant to high temperatures, steel alloy compared to aluminum precisely, can compensate for the disadvantage of having higher weight for the component itself. Steel is heavier, denser than aluminum. But let's say the answer comes already from Ferrari itself, and not so much because it explained the reasons for weight difference, but rather because we learned about the type of realization of manufacturing of these cylinder heads. In other words, Ferrari no longer uses the old technique for building a steel alloy cylinder head. Cylinder heads were normally obtained by casting or by machining from raw material using machine tools. But Ferrari uses a new technique. Ferrari uses for its new 2026 power unit, for its new engines, a new technology that's based precisely on 3D printing. To put it in simpler terms, it's a process obtained through deposition and fusion of metallic powder that's laid in layers on a platform that varies in height. The platform lowers, all the vertical development of various profiles is recreated, obtaining in the end a manufactured component that until a decade ago was unthinkable to obtain through what is essentially 3D printing. But today, this technology allows having materials, manufactured components essentially unobtainable through machining with machine tools from solid, or through traditional casting. You can optimize material usage because you can create thin walls impossible with other manufacturing techniques. This gives the advantages of using steel while not manifesting weight-related defects because precisely wall thickness is optimized. So the advantage appears concrete for Ferrari, and these cylinder heads should give being more resistant by nature of their material, steel instead of aluminum, mechanical performance superior to thermal stresses especially and to high pressures. And therefore, you should have precisely because of greater resistance to high temperatures also an advantage in terms of smaller size of cooling systems related to the cylinder head itself. Essentially using radiators on the car of the water cooling circuit, more compact and therefore an advantage in aerodynamic terms, as well as greater reliability in terms of resistance of the thermal part itself of the power unit. The key to everything is the ability to create complex internal geometries with extremely thin walls. With traditional casting or machining from solid, there are physical limits to how thin you can make an internal wall. With metal 3D printing instead, you can create optimized cooling channels, cavities that follow exactly the exhaust gas path, walls that are thick only where structural resistance is needed. This means the steel cylinder head produced with this technique can even be lighter than an aluminum cylinder head produced with traditional techniques, while maintaining all of steel's resistance advantages. It's a revolution in racing engine design. Ferrari works with Renishaw, the world leader company in metal additive manufacturing, what we commonly call 3D printing for metals. Renishaw developed machines capable of melting metallic powder with micrometric precision, layer after layer, building components that were previously impossible to manufacture. The collaboration between Ferrari and Renishaw isn't new, but applying this technology to the engine cylinder head, represents an enormous qualitative leap. We're talking about a component that must resist temperatures above 1,000 degrees, pressures of tens of bars, extreme thermal cycles thousands of times per race. So this solution Ferrari chose to adopt, steel alloy instead of aluminum for cylinder heads of its 2026 power units, seems to be a real advantage. We hope facts confirm on track the goodness of this technical choice that also has fairly convincing logic. And therefore, Forza Ferrari, we're convinced the Italian genius united with the genius of its suppliers, in this case, Renault, the company assisting Ferrari precisely in manufacturing these designs with metallic powder fusion, essentially metal 3D printing, can make the difference. We hope precisely that Ferrari's power unit is at the highest levels and can fight those power units currently given as most performing, namely Mercedes and Red Bull, who would reportedly use this sort of trick on compression ratio that would exceed the limit imposed by regulations, going from 18:1, someone says, against the maximum 16:1 allowed, working hot. So it may be that Ferrari traveled different roads to have a performance level at the highest of the category. We'll see as soon as we have results from the first track tests. What we must understand is that metal 3D printing isn't a gadget. It's not a technological curiosity. It's a true revolution in how high-performance components are designed and built. Ferrari understood that to compete in 2026, it wasn't enough to change material, you had to change the very way of thinking about design. With traditional casting, you're limited by shapes you can extract from the mold. With machining from solid, you're limited by tools that can reach certain areas. With 3D printing, these limits disappear, you can think the optimal shape and then build it, not the other way around. This is the secret technique with which Ferrari's new 2026 steel cylinder head is born. Not traditional casting, not machining from raw material, but metal 3D printing with steel powder. Layer after layer with micrometric precision, creating thin walls previously impossible. Optimizing weight, maintaining resistance. Collaboration with Renault, world leader in metal additive manufacturing. Steel's advantages without weight defects. Smaller radiators, aerodynamic advantage, greater reliability. A solution that seems really an advantage to fight Mercedes and Red Bull. We'll see from Barcelona tests at end of January and then Bahrain in February. Presentations in mid-January, but we'll only see real Formula One cars at Sakir. This is Ferrari's revolution. This is the secret technique that could change everything in 2026.